Hello, homeschool friends, and welcome to this episode of the Homeschool High School Podcast from Seven Sisters Homeschool.com. And delighted to be a part of the Ultimate Homeschool Podcast Network. I am Sabrina, and this morning I am talking with
Vicki.
And we're going to talk about fun stuff that we really like, and maybe even better, we really liked it, but so did our teenagers.
Yeah. So when our teens were in high school together, somewhere between co-op and when you started teaching ELA at our umbrella school, you started teaching classes on cinema studies as ELA. So the kids were learning literature analysis with that. And they loved it, loved that course. And to actually have kids excited about ELA, it was, they were learning skills, they were having fun. And so I was wondering if you could tell folks, what inspired you? What on earth brought cinema studies into your head?
Well, it wasn't called cinema studies initially. It didn't have a name, and that bothered me. I couldn't think what to call it. And eventually I think it was Sarah, Seven Sister Sarah, who came up with cinema studies, because I love alliteration.
Yes.
Seven Sister Marilyn does not love alliteration. No. So yeah, it drives her a little bit crazy. But so I didn't know what to call it. But we had kids who were not thrilled at the thought of reading books. And then when we asked them to also do literary analysis while they were reading the books, they were rolling their eyes and moaning and groaning and saying, it's too much, it's too hard, and it takes me so long just to read because I'm a slow reader. And then I have to think about all these things. And so I got thinking, storytelling is storytelling. And good storytelling is good storytelling. And if what I wanted to do was increase our kids' reading speed, then I needed to just keep adding to their book list and setting timers and forcing them to read faster, I guess. But what I actually wanted was for them to be able to think about stories and find all sorts of rich, wonderful learning within good storytelling. And that can be done with a movie.
That is
the storytelling is good on a screen, then you can analyze that just like you analyze the storytelling in a book. Yeah. So that's where it came from.
And it really did, for our kids who were not confident readers, because not all high schoolers love reading.
Oh, can you say that again?
Not all high schoolers love reading. I know it breaks the homeschool ethos,
it does. They're all supposed to be bookworms, right? They're all supposed to come out of the womb with a book in their hands and never put it down for the rest of their lives. Yeah, but that's not actually reality.
That is not, they're real people. And so there were so many of our homeschoolers who were not confident readers. So they would read the books they had to read. But to inspire them to love it. I can remember walking past, because I was the academic advisor, and part of my job at the umbrella school was to walk around the rooms and just kind of get the culture and say hi to people. And there were always, all the kids were engaged, even the ones that were insecure learners. And our honor students who, they're heading for college and they were going to burn themselves out doing academics, to have something fun and inspiring that still counted as academics, to see that combination in the classes and everybody enjoying it. So we ended up with cinema studies for literature learning, which was a double alliteration.
That's right, which made me doubly happy. It's the little things, guys. It's the little things.
And we're so easily amused.
That's right. That's right. So we ended up with cinema studies for literature learning. And one of the things that was so cool is that it leveled the playing field in a way that it hadn't even occurred to me that it would. Because right from the starting gate, those honors kids who were burning themselves out on the way to full ride scholarships someplace fabulous, and the kids who said, oh, I'm not any good at reading, I'm not any good at English, they all spent the same amount of time on their homework.
Yes.
Because a movie is 2.5 hours. That's just how long it is. And so right from the beginning, there was this lift in the pressure on everybody. They knew how long their homework was going to take for the week. And yes, answering the questions could take a little different amount from one week to the next, but they felt like they knew what was coming. They knew how to plan for it. So that also helped with planning their academic load, you know?
Yeah. And so it was a benefit and a joy to everybody. So as we launched Seven Sisters, the demand for other families, like it got, like kind of got some virality to it. So Sabrina bundled all of the cinema studies guides that she had created together. And then the demand kept growing. And so Sabrina has to turn it into a whole ELA course. So
all the bits and pieces. Yes.
So it's everything now. If you want a full ELA credit, with the emphasis being on cinema studies for literature learning, you can look at Seven Sisters. So Sabrina's going to tell us about how it works today.
So how it works is like all Seven Sisters curriculum works, which is you don't have to fit your family into this title. You fit the title around your family and your homeschool. So there's adaptability built into it. We include a syllabus, but the syllabus is a suggested syllabus, and there are suggestions in the suggested syllabus for adapting it to different kinds of schedules and different levels of rigor.
Because there's not one right way.
There is not one right way to homeschool English in high school. So one thing that we get asked all the time is, does this cover like books for the year? And the answer is no. Teens still need to be reading. They do still need to be working on their actual reading skills. And so you still want to have them reading titles that will go on a book list, but they will move through those more quickly because they won't be doing literary analysis on those other titles that they're reading. They can be books that are tied to other subjects that they are working on. So it can be filling out a social science credit or a history credit or an elective. And some of those can be significantly shorter books because they're getting really good practice thinking hard about literature with the movies. So that's getting covered. And so reading becomes kind of, you have a different goal for reading if you're using this as your ELA.
And also we did count the movies with the completed study guide as a book for their book.
I think we actually, when we totaled up hours, I think we came up with 2. So we're recommending 2 cinema studies guides count as one book.
There you go.
If you're going for the, if you're going for the recommended number of books for the year. So that question out of the way, I'm going to, if I can do this correctly, I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to show you the syllabus, the suggested syllabus, and we'll talk through that for just a moment. So let's see if this works. I'm not always super great at this, but I'm going to try. Boom. Is that working?
All right.
Is that the syllabus?
There we go.
Yay. Okay.
Yay. Look at us digital immigrants
doing our very best. Yes, indeed. So you can see right at the top of the syllabus, before you begin, please remember there's not one right way to homeschool using Seven Sisters titles. So suggestions only. Our recommendation is that this be offered at a level 2 in terms of how you're going to show the level on the transcript. And that's an average high school course. You can find ways to level this up if that's what you want to do. But it is harder to level this one up than all of our other ELA bundles. And it's because we're going with movies instead of books. So this is set up for a traditional academic year, 32 weeks, 2 semesters, and it will cover 15 cinema studies for literature learning guides. And in addition to that, 4 literature study guides. So in this suggested syllabus, we are recommending 4 either books or collections of speeches and collections of essays to be read, actually like read, with your eyes on a page kind of thing. And so here we go. Because this is an English language arts bundle, we have all of the components of ELA included. So we have literature with analysis, We have vocabulary. There's vocabulary in each of the cinema studies guides.
Mm-hmm.
We have different kinds of writing.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a grammar resource in the bundle. It is not a standalone grammar curriculum because most students don't need that by high school. They have enough of a foundation laid. So what they need is like a pocket guide for reference. And then they need to do good editing work on their writing. And that reinforces the grammar.
Right. Because the editing at this age for most students is their grammar.
Yeah.
They're at application phase now.
Exactly. And then the final piece is public speaking.
Mm-hmm.
So we have this set up where if you want to be working on ELA 5 days per week, then here's how we recommend you break up the work to cover everything in the bundle. But what if you only want 4 days a week because you co-op 1 day a week, or because you ride horses 1 day a week, or because you go for hiking trips 1 day, whatever. So here's an easy way to then pull it back to just 4 days a week. And then within the syllabus, we just break it out by week. So this is not a day by day every assignment, but each of the guides is created in such a way that it's very easy to figure out within a week how much to do. With each cinema studies guide, we recommend that you watch the movie twice. So you read the background information, look over the vocabulary, get the general idea in your mind, and then you just watch the movie. And you've got some ideas kind of floating in the back of your mind, but you don't have to stop and answer any questions as you watch if you don't want to. Now, if you don't want to, because there are some students who are completely freaked out by that. And they're like, no, but I'm going to have to answer these questions and I'm not going to remember when I get to the end of the movie. Yeah. If you've got one who thinks that way, then hit pause whenever you want to hit pause.
There's not one right way.
Yes, there's not one right. So keep the guide open in front of you. And every time you're kind of glancing and seeing another questions coming up, hit pause, make some notes. That's fine too. For those who don't want to hit pause on that first watch, just watch it. Then read through the guide and let those questions kind of marinate a little bit. And then wait a day or 2 or 3 or 4, or even wait till next week and watch the movie a second time. And now you're going to answer all of those questions. You're going to go with what you sort of picked up on the first watching, but you're going to dig deeper then as you've watched it a second time. It is amazing to watch students really get hold of the idea that a story heard once or experienced once gives you something. But same story experienced a second time, there's so much more. There's so much more that you see. It goes deeper, it goes wider. You find connection points that you didn't notice with your own life in the first time through. So that two times through the story experience is really important.
It's really nice too, is when they are doing their literature analysis type questions, because our study guides by and large for cinema studies are really teaching the kids without over teaching, because we don't believe that. They're learning some literature analysis skills. So when they watch the movie with that awareness, they pick up on things that they would have never noticed before. Because the storytellers don't say, and now we're doing this kind of literature analysis, like you kind of just have to know, and then you see it in the film.
Now, if you're wondering what we mean by literary analysis style questions, we're talking about helping students notice the theme that runs through a story, or helping them notice the arc that a character follows, the way a character develops throughout the events of the story and how it changes them. We're helping them notice motivation. What is driving people to do the things that they're choosing to do? Plot arc. There's a very important pacing to good storytelling, and it follows this arc. So it's that kind of stuff, and it pulls out specific literary devices. If you see parallel structure, if you see dramatic foils, all of those kinds of things that you might vaguely remember from your high school English courses. It's all there. It's all there in good storytelling. It's just on the screen.
Yeah.
I'm going to switch from this to what it actually looks like when you purchase one of these bundles, because that's another thing that people wonder about a lot. And I'm going to try to do this correctly. So downloads, here we go. So when you make your purchase first, let me just show you what your transaction screen is going to look like. and this is for American.
Mm-hmm.
But after you've purchased it, you're going to see here that you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 files that are a part of this bundle. And you're going to want to download each of those by clicking on it and saving it somewhere where you can find it on your computer later, in your downloads or on your desktop.
Yes.
And each of these is not a single file. It is a collection of files. Mm-hmm. All right. So once you've got them and you open them, then we'll go back to cinema studies here. Then you're going to find a folder that is full of all the actual study guides for the students. And here's one for Moby Dick, and here's one for Places in the Heart, and here's High Noon, and here's Field of Dreams and Miracle Worker. Mm-hmm. So these are your student guides here. And I have dropped the syllabus in there, but it was a standalone file. Mm-hmm. You'll have a second folder that is all of the answer keys. And so this is for the teacher, mm-hmm. and there's one for each guide. And that's going to give you confidence in grading your students' work if you're not quite sure how you grade a guide that asks questions that don't have right and wrong answers. All of these are thoughtful answers. And so if a student demonstrates that they have thought about it, they may reach a different conclusion than you would. Mm-hmm. But the answer is still correct, even if it's not the same way you saw it.
Right.
And finally, there'll be a writing and public speaking folder. And this will have your research paper and your essay writing and your poetry writing and your short story family narrative. And it also has your public speaking guides in it. Here's one for spoken word and one for Kid Lit. It has your grammar resources in there. And it also has writing your personal mission statement, which is an extra writing guide within this. So I'm going to stop sharing now and come back to our normal screen. And so you're going to have those 5 folders mm-hmm. of files that download when you purchase. And then as you open each of them, you're going to see one is full of your student stuff, one is full of your answer keys, one is full of the writing and public speaking, and then you've got your syllabus.
Yes.
And such. So it's all there, but it's not all in order. And so we're just going to own that right now, because this is something that once in a while somebody gets miffed about. They say, I wanted this laid out for me, and I don't know where to start, and I don't know. Well, you can go from the syllabus, and you can do it in the order that we've suggested in there. But we purposely don't lay it out in a first you do this, and then you do this, and then you do this, because we really believe that there is not one right way to do this. And so if we give you a do it in exactly this order template that you must follow, we're actually going against our heart for you, which is that you would be confident, that you would trust that you know your student better than I know them, because I've never met them. I certainly don't know a whole lot about their learning style and their needs, right? I don't know your family's schedule. I don't know who's going to be doing the grading for this work. I don't know how independent a learner you're working with. All of those things are the things that should decide how you're going to live out this ELA curriculum over the course of a year. And we so want you to believe in yourselves as homeschool parents.
Yeah. And one of the wonderful things to do is, teens being involved in the planning. So when you choose cinema studies or any of our ELA bundles, you get the bundle, and then you sit down with your teen and say, you got any opinions on what order you want to do these guides? And, that's the cinema, that's the books. That is also the writing, when do you want to do poetry, and when do you want to do your research paper?
Yeah.
And so when you have the teens buy-in on it, then they can take the syllabus and run with it. And know too, if you get to where it's research paper time and the brain says, I don't want to do it, so you go in a different order.
Swap things out.
One right way. So
exactly.
That's the life skill of resilience is so important. Although I know, like, some people would rather just have a textbook and it's all in order and you just
that's fine. If that's what you want, that's okay too. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's because there's not one right way. This is the Seven Sisters way. And always our Seven Sisters ethos is we don't do busy work. We don't overteach it. we want the kids to actually like the movie, and we want them to like the book so that they're inspired to keep investing more learning going. Because when you burn them out teaching everything you could possibly teach in one book, by the time they get to the end of the year, they hate ELA.
Yeah.
And instead, what we have seen is our low motivation teens with these, especially cinema studies, they get to the end of the year and they go like, oh my gosh,
I did so much cool stuff.
Yeah. And feel okay about it. So, and the same, so that's with the literature, it's with the writing, is we're building confidence. And for our college bound, more competitive kids, there's level up things so they can bring in a way that's meaningful to them, level it up to their honors that they are aiming for. So
one final thought is these are movies, and just like books, every parent needs to decide what movie is a good fit for their family. And there are occasionally people who question the selection of certain movies or the selection of certain books on our book lists within our English bundles. And that's okay. If there are movies in there that you say, I don't want my kid to watch this, that's a really good choice that you need to make for your family. You shouldn't just assume that these are all going to be a good fit because I chose them. And so I just encourage you to, if there are movies that you're unfamiliar with, just do a quick Google search and get, a feel for it. None of them are, we're not throwing racy stuff out there, but there are occasional books that we read that are works of classic literature that have profanity in them and have references to violence or references to racism or any number of things that we certainly don't want our children living out in their own lives. And so the decision of when to expose them to those things in literature is a very personal decision, and that is up to each parent. So I just encourage you to take point on that and make sure that you're feeling comfortable with everything on the list.
Why we're homeschooling, to do what's best for our kids and our family.
That's right.
Yeah.
So we hope that's helpful to you. We hope that if you have heard about cinema studies from Seven Sisters and wondered what is this all about, that you now have a better sense of it. We hope that if you have a kid who is a not so confident reader or who struggles with very, very concrete black and white thinking, and so literary analysis is like pulling teeth. I read fine, but what are you talking about motivation? Those kinds of kids. If they need something a little bit different and you want to give something with movies a try, Cinema Studies for Literature Learning, ELA bundle can be a wonderful thing.
That's awesome.
And if you have questions for us, you know where to find us, we hope. You can always email info@sevensistershomeschool.com. You can find us on social media. In particular, we have a very active Facebook group. And and you can leave comments on blog posts that you find at the website too, sevensistershomeschool.com. Lots and lots of informative blog posts.
And now on Substack.
That's right, now on Substack.
Yes, they're on Substack.
Yes, love it, love it. So find us wherever you need to find us, and thank you for letting us be a support and encouragement in your homeschooling journey. We hope that you will tune in for future episodes of the Homeschool High School podcast from sevensistershomeschool.com and brought to you by the Ultimate Homeschool Podcast Network. Till next time, friends.
Bye.